Morning children, welcome to biology class. Today again children will continue chapter body fluids and circulation. In a previous class children we have learned about RBCs or the red blood cells. Now today we are going to learn about the WBCs or the white blood cells or the leukocytes. Now these WBCs or white blood cells, they are known as the mobile force of body defense mechanism. They are colorless, nucleated, rounded or irregular ammoeboid cells. Their number varies from 6,000 to 9,000 per milliliter of blood. Now WBCs, they are larger than RBCs and they do not have hemoglobin. They have nucleus, they have mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, ribosomes and centrioles. They show phagocytosis and ammoeboid movement. They can squeeze out of the capillaries into the surrounding tissues and the phenomenon is known as diapedesis. Now leukocytes or the WBCs, they survive for 12 hours to 12 days. Neutrophils, they survive for 3 days and about 125 billion neutrophils they are produced each day. 1 hour cells of WBCs, they are destroyed in liver, spleen and lymph nodes by phagocytosis. New WBCs, they are produced in bone marrow, lymph glands, spleen and thymus. Now the process of formation of WBC, it is called leukopoiesis. Now there are different types of leukocytes and basically they are of two types, granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes means they have granules and they are irregular and polymorphic in their cytoplasm. That means nucleus is multilobed. Hence, granulocytes are also called polymorphic nuclear leukocytes or polymorphs. Now these granulocytes, they are of again three types, acidophils, eosinophils, basophils and neutrophils. So acidophils or eosinophils, now these are stained with dye eosin and there are 2 to 3% of total leukocytes. In this, the nucleus, it is bilobed or two-lobed. They have coarse granules. They also contains hydrolytic enzymes and peroxidases that kill large parasites, engulf bacterial toxins and they promote tissue inflammation. Basophils, they are about 0.1 to 1% of the total leukocytes and again they take up the basic stain like the methylene blue. Their nucleus, it is elongated and S-shaped with 2 or 3 lobes and they contain the granules called heparin and histamine. Now heparin, it plays the role of anticoagulant and prevents blood clotting inside the blood vessels. While histamine, it is an inflammatory agent and it is released in allergic response and injured tissues to dilate blood vessels. Neutrophils, basically they are more numerous neutrophils found in the WBCs. They are about 70% of the total leukocytes are neutrophils and their nucleus, they are very large and they are 3 to 5 lobed and they are highly polymorphic in nature. They are again stained with both the acidic and the basic dyes and being phagocytic in nature, neutrophils engulf microbes, remove cell debris and they play the role of a scavenger and they squeeze out through capillary wall at the site of injury by the phenomena of diapedesis. Next is agranulocytes, that means the granules are not found in the cytoplasm of these cells and they are of two types, lymphocytes and monocytes. Now these lymphocytes, they are smaller leukocytes and they are about 20 to 25% of the total leukocytes. Their cells, they are round with large and rounded nucleus, and they have very little cytoplasm. There are of two types again, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Now these are produced in bone marrow and thymus and in mature spleen and lymph nodes. Because they produce antibodies, they provide immunity against infection. Next, agranulocyte leukocyte is monocyte, which is the largest of all types of leukocytes. They are about 3 to 7% of total leukocytes, and their nuclei, they are large and horseshoe shaped. They engulf bacteria and worn out tissue cells. They come out of the capillary into the tissue and changes into macrophages. Now monocytes are also known as wandering cells of the blood. Now come to the functions of leukocytes. As I told you children earlier, that these leukocytes, they are mobile force or soldiers of the body, because they migrate to the site of injury and infection and fight with the invading microbes. They defend our body against the microbes and their toxins by forming the antibodies. So their functions are scavenging. That means all the injury or the infection, at the site of the injury or the infection, these neutrophils and monocytes in the tissue, they engulf run out cells of the body and dead microbes. So they act as a scavengers. Through diabetes, these neutrophils, they migrate towards the site of infection. They squeeze out through capillary wall and engulf microbes. They also help in pus formation at the site of infection. These WBCs, through phagocytosis, they invade microorganisms and dead cells, and these accumulate in the infected area together with exuded plasma. Now the dead leukocytes along with destroyed tissue cells, dead and live microbes, exuded plasma form the pus. Now they also show phagocytosis. When they reach the site of infection, these neutrophils and monocytes, they engulf microbes or the foreign matter or the damaged cells. Now this process is known as phagocytosis. So by this process, they kill microorganisms and protect the body against infection. Inflammation or inflammatory reaction. Now inflammation is swelling which is caused at the site of the injury, and the blood vessels at this point, they release more blood, making it red and hot. Due to the accumulation of the tissue fluid, the area, it gets swell up. So here the neutrophils and the macrophages, they migrate through capillary wall by diapetesis and fight against invading microbes. They also form antibodies. Now lymphocytes, they produce antibodies to kill the germs and neutralize their toxins. Now they also help in immunity, because they produce antibodies to provide the lifelong immunity against certain diseases. So here neutrophils, they are showing the phagocytosis. Now these are the bacteria and these are neutrophil cells. Now they are forming the cytopodia, and through the phagocytosis movement, they engulf these bacteria into them. Now third blood cells are the thrombocytes or the blood platelets. Now these blood platelets, they are small, they are roughly rounded or sometimes spherical, enucleated, colorless, disc-like structures. Now the platelets, they are formed in red bone marrow from megakaryotes, and the process is known as thrombopoiesis. They survive for 3 to 7 days only, and they are disposed of by phagocytosis in the blood or the spleen. Now these blood platelets, they play a very important role in preventing the blood loss by arresting bleeding, plugging holes in small blood vessels, and by blood clotting. Now these damaged platelets, they release serotonin, which causes contraction of blood vessels at the site of injury and bleeding, and reduces instant blood loss. Now these blood platelets, they accumulate at the site of injury or cut, bind to the collagen exposed by blood vessel damage and plug maneuverers, known as platelet plugging. Sometimes in case of large cuts or tears where plugging is not enough, these damaged blood platelets they liberate enzyme thromboplastin or thrombokinase which initiates whole cascade reaction of blood clotting. So this is all for today, children. In our next class we'll learn about the human circulatory system. Till then, thank you and have a nice day.